In this video, I'll be building my very first custom mechanical keyboard. I've been getting into the mechanical keyboard scene recently, and I've been wanting to build my very own one for a super long time, but mechanical keyboards are so expensive. So thank you to KBDFans, I was able to actually build one for myself. I'm not sponsored by them, but they were nice enough to send me a full keyboard kit all the way from the case to the switches to the keycaps. They sent me everything. So if you guys decide to build one yourself, make sure to check them down in the description. They're probably the best keyboard distributors I've seen so far. They got everything from parts, switches, from lube. They got everything, guys. So make sure to check them down in the description. Thank you once again to KBDFans, but let's get started with what keyboard I decided to build. In the custom mechanical keyboard realm, there are tons of different shapes and sizes for keyboards, but the one that I am going to be building is a little different from what you guys are used to. So obviously there's the basic full-size keyboard, but the one I am building is going to be a 65% keyboard. It's a lot smaller than the classic keyboard, but there is still the arrow keys, which I really wanted, so the 65% was perfect. And the one that I got from KBDFans was the Tofu 65 kit acrylic version because the lighting was super cool, guys. So hope you guys are excited. Leave a like down below, subscribe if you guys are new to the channel, and I might do more keyboard videos in the future if you guys do enjoy this one. But let's get into actually building the keyboard, guys. Actually, before we can even do that, we have to do something before. We need to lube the switches. So if you guys don't know what lubing the switches is, you guys have to put lube in every single switch before we actually use it. You guys don't need to do this, but I recommend it. It makes a huge difference when you actually start using it. I think it's worth it. It took me like 3 hours to do, but a lot of people say it's more of a chore and a long, tedious process, but I actually kind of liked it. I just played some music in the background and was just lubing each of the switches. So if you guys do enjoy that, you guys should definitely do it as well. So the switches I chose were the Kale Box Silent Browns. There are two types of switches. There's linear switches and tactile switches. Linear switches, they're a lot more smoother and just go straight down. There's no feedback to it. You guys just press down and it's super nice. But tactile switches have a little bump in it every time you press a key down, and I kind of liked it. So the switches I got were tactile switches, and since I didn't want them to be too loud during recordings, I got the silent versions of them. Moving on, let's actually get started with lubing. To do that, you need to take apart each of the switches to lube them because all the lube goes inside of the switches, and to do that we needed a switch opener. A switch opener is a nice little tool. You guys don't actually need it. You can use like pliers or whatever to open them up, but it's definitely recommended. It makes the process so much faster. I'm pretty sure it would have taken me like 5 hours just to open up each switch, but luckily I had a switch opener and I was able to open them up super quickly. In my opinion, if you guys do buy a switch opener, you guys should definitely get a metal one because the 3D printed one that I got wasn't very good and it was kind of annoying to open up. So yeah, I opened up each switch. Out of all the switches I bought, I got 67 switches for the entire keyboard. I opened all of them up and separated them into its own bowls. There are 4 parts to it. There's the housing, the spring, the stem, and also the top roof portion of the switch. So yeah, those are all the 4 pieces of a switch, and I separated them all out, and now we can actually get started with lubing. The lube that I used was Krytox 205 grade 0. I heard a lot of good things about it, so I decided to buy it and use it, but the only issue is I just realized while making this video is that lube can actually ruin my entire switch. So luckily it didn't break my switches, but I think it still turned out fine. So if you guys do decide to use Krytox 205 grade 0, make sure to only use it on linear switches, not tactile switches, because it is terrible for those. So that's the lube that I used. I put the springs into a Ziploc bag and put lube inside of it as well and just shook them up like crazy, and that's how I lubed the springs. They're a lot easier and it saved me so much time. Other than that, I lubed the housing by applying lube on the sides and the middle tube. Then for the stem, I did it on all 4 sides. I just put it back together. And we finally finished all the switches, guys. There were 67 switches. It took me forever, but it wasn't that bad. It was actually kind of relaxing. I was just watching some YouTube videos and was doing the lubing as well, which is probably not a good idea because I didn't lube all of them very well, so there is some inconsistencies when I press on the keys, but next time I'll do a better job, guys. So if you guys do decide to lube, make sure to focus on lubing and not get distracted like I did. After I finished lubing, I started lubing the stabilizers. The stabilizers was a little bit easier. There weren't too many parts and they all came apart pretty easily as well. Other than that, you also needed to clip the sides, which I didn't really show in the video, but you guys can check them out in a different video if you guys want to, but I think it makes it a little better. I'm not too sure. I'm not that big of a keyboard expert yet, but yeah, so basically I just lubed everything, put it back together, and yeah, this makes a huge difference, guys. If you don't lube the stabilizers, your keyboard could sound terrible, so make sure to do this part. This is highly recommended and you should definitely do it. Another thing I did for the stabilizers was I used a band-aid mod, which is basically just cutting some band-aid apart and putting it underneath the stabilizers when you put it onto the PCB, because it gets rid of all of the rattly sounds and just makes it sound super nice, and all you hear is basically just the switch. The stabilizers aren't noisy at all, which is a super good idea, and you guys should definitely do the same thing I did. One thing that you should probably do is put lube between the band-aid and the stabilizer as well, but I didn't do that, so make sure to do that when you guys do it yourself. After I finish that, we can finally get started with putting on the switches. So I basically put on the PCB, put on the plate, and finally put on every single switch onto the PCB, which took a lot of time because I didn't know that switches were super hard to put onto a plate for some reason, so I like injured my thumbs by pressing down super hard. But you guys should make sure that the metal pins actually go into the holes on the PCB, because I definitely messed up a few times and there were some bent pins when I was trying to solder. So I had to take the keys back out and put them back in. It was a lot of work and it could definitely ruin your switches, so make sure to be careful about that. Luckily, I had enough switches and I didn't mess up too badly, so everything looked perfect so far. So let's get right into soldering now. I started in the morning and it is not the morning now, guys. It is currently 10 p.m. It's taken me 10 hours. I am so tired, but check it out, guys. This is what I got done today. It is pretty good. I'm actually proud of myself. Check it out. This is all the switches in, all of them lubed, but tomorrow I will be soldering and setting everything up. So hope you guys are excited. I wish I could finish it today, but it's nighttime. I gotta go to sleep. So hope you guys are excited. I'll see you guys in the next morning.
5 hours later.
Alright guys, it is the next morning and I have to set up my entire recording system once again because I took it down last night to do some other editing and stuff, so gotta set everything back up again. So you guys are gonna see that entire process right now. It's a little weird, but I gotta do what I gotta do to get that top down view. So hope you guys do enjoy and let's get started. We are gonna start soldering our own keyboard now. This was what we got done last night. All these tiny gold circles, we're gonna have to solder them all together. It's gonna be a lot of work, but hopefully we get it all done, guys. Okay, soldering. This is the one thing I was scared of doing when it came to building a keyboard. If I messed up once, there's a chance that I could ruin the entire board and the keys won't work. So I had to be super careful about this, and yeah guys, I was gonna decide to get a hot swappable PCB, which means you don't have to solder, you just press down the keys and you guys can just swap the keys whenever, but they didn't have them for the board that I wanted, so this is what I got, guys. It was a lot more work, but I think it came out pretty well. I'd never soldered in my life, so I had to get my uncle to help, and it wasn't that bad. I did watch a bit of tutorials before, and that helped a lot. So make sure you guys watch some tutorials and get some help before you guys do it yourself. It is a lot of work, and it is pretty dangerous as well, so be careful when you're doing it. This took me forever, and I did run out of solder a few times, but we finally got it all done, and I used a program called VIA to check if the keys actually worked after I soldered them on. But yeah, that is basically how I did it. Put the entire board into the case and put on the keycaps, but I accidentally pressed enter and that stopped my entire recording. So yeah guys, let me just redo this whole thing. Alright, that's that guys. I finished my very own custom mechanical keyboard. Once again, shout out to KBDFans for sending me this entire keyboard kit. I wouldn't have been able to do this without them, and I am so happy that I am actually able to get my own custom mechanical keyboard, guys. This was so worth it, and I'm so happy with how it turned out, guys. So if you guys are thinking about building your own custom keyboard, make sure to check them out. The links will be down in the description, and they got some pretty good deals, and probably the best website I've seen among all the keyboard distributors, so it's definitely worth it, guys. I'm so happy with how this keyboard came out, and it sounds so satisfying. So here's a nice little typing test, and you guys are gonna see all of it right here. It took a bit of time to set this whole thing up, but I'm so happy with how everything turned out. This is going to be my keyboard for a really long time, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. My very own premium custom keyboard, guys. So here's a nice little typing test. Hope you guys do enjoy that. Well, hope you guys do enjoy the video. Leave a like down below, subscribe if you guys are new to the channel, and maybe I might do more custom keyboard videos. We'll see, guys. Alright, hope you guys do enjoy, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.